Good morning. It's early Monday morning here at the Schrock House, and I hope that all of you are had gotten enough rest this weekend. And for those of you who are fathers out there, happy Father's Day. Hope you enjoyed a little celebration of your role to your family. We have three little boys. If some of you may have read the bio stuff that I put in the classroom, not necessary, but if you want to know about us, you know about me a little bit more. You can read that. Anyway, we have three little boys, 13, 10, and 7. And our 7-year-old is on medicine for a sinus infection. He also has a cast. He's a real mess right now. Getting the cast off today, hopefully. But anyway, he has to take this medicine that is nasty. And he says to me the other day as he's taking it, he goes, just a second, before I take my medicine, I need to harvest my chi. I'm pretty sure he meant harness his chi, and we don't talk like that. But it was pretty funny when he proceeded to do his ohms. We were laughing at him and asked, where did you get that? And he had several different answers. We think it was from some kid's show that he watches with his brother on Disney Channel. But nonetheless, maybe you need to harvest your chi today to refocus for the week. Harvest makes a lot more sense to me than harness, honestly. I grew up on farm country, so I hope you're enjoying having a good focus for the week. And let me help you get focused a little bit on a couple things here. The first is just a couple housekeeping things. I have had a couple questions, and I want to clarify a few things. One, those of you who went in to get work on Sunday afternoon and couldn't, I had reset so that you could. I'm not sure what went on. When I went back in, sure enough, it had closed you out. So sometimes with technology, we find that. It might be just a good preventative thing. I'm going to keep checking on it now that I'm aware that we're having some glitches and make sure it doesn't happen again on my end. But it might be a good idea at the beginning of the week to pull those documents up and save them so that you have them anytime you need them. And that's a good idea just too, because I know that sometimes we have some unfortunate timing of system outages. We have a really great system and really great tech people at the college, but sometimes those systems, fail us. So it might be a good idea to do that. On that same note of the kind of preventative measure type things, I noticed when I went in, some of you did a fabulous job of getting your peer editing in early. Others of you waited till Sunday night, and that's not real effective for peer editing. So let's try to get peer editing aim this week. I'm going to kind of go through the assignments and kind of tell you what I would envision if you would pace your assignments out through the week. It's not a hard and fast thing. I used to include a pacing guide, but I want the flex of the class to work for you. I want the system to work, but I'm going to suggest a possible kind of soft deadlines within the week. Still have your Sunday at midnight deadline from me, but maybe some kind of pacing suggestions for the week. And then finally, it's been brought to my attention that the grade book isn't showing you your grades. Assignments, you can go in individually and check your assignment grades and my comments, but the grade book isn't showing up, and I'm going to work on that today. Again, on my end, it says that the grades are connected to the assignments, but for some reason, it's not speaking to each other right now. So we're going to try to get the gradebook and the assignments to talk to each other, because that's important, so you can see the overall, what your running total is. But I do encourage you, I always put comments on assignments, and I try to make them purposeful and meaningful. So you might want to also check individual assignments. I try to have the discussion board and writing to the little pre-writing types of assignments done by Wednesday, and then all the other work done by Friday. But that's not a promise. That's my pacing guide, okay? And then finally, make sure that on those discussion board assignments and peer edits that you are giving me your initial post and what you said to others in a Word doc in your or actually you can copy and paste them right into that space in the Dropbox. It doesn't have to be an attachment. And it doesn't, and if there's some of you have asked about the HTML coding that shows up when you do a copy paste, I'm not really worried about that. You don't have to clean it up. I want to just see the content of your responses all in one place, consolidated, so that I can see your contribution quickly rather than sifting through all the discussion threads. So that's just on my housekeeping end for me. I appreciate you doing that. If you forgot and you didn't put transfer from discussion board to the Dropbox assignment spot. Would you please do that? And I'm soft on deadlines for this first little chunk, and then, starting this week, I'm going to be a little bit more firm with that. And on an individual basis, if you have issues, please let me know. Okay, so what's going on this week? We are moving on to a new type of essay called a literary essay. In your syllabus, you might want to open that up. It's the third week, and the literary essay is a different type of essay. But before I get there, just walking through the tasks for the week. You'll notice under SCIM, I have for the Hirschberg test 20 to 26. There's a sample literary essay in that. That's why I put those page numbers in there. That's why I hope they are helpful to you. For actual reading and really like sticking your teeth in and really, digesting the reading, there are, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces of writing. None of them are essays this time. They're all either short stories or poems. That's why we're doing the literary essay over these pieces. Please remember, as you are responding in discussion board to these, I believe I have a 3-2 rule on this one as well. You respond to 3 with initial responses, 3 of the right authors, and then you respond to 2 peers based on their responses. Or to 2, you could do the same peer on 2 different entries. That's okay. I'd like you to mix it up from a perspective that it's nice if everybody has a response by the end, but I know, again, if somebody's running late, it may be difficult to respond to them. Okay, the second part of this, and so you get the reading done, and you're going to hand into the discussion board those discussion responses. That's your first written assignment. And obviously make me a copy for the assignment portion of the discussion board. Somebody asked, what do I need to include? Do I need to include what other people say to me? If you want to, you can, but I'm not grading you on what other people say to you. It is fun for me to see because I get the whole big picture of the conversation, but I don't need it. So, and again, you can just copy and paste those into the discussion board square. You don't have to. Oh, look at, there's a 7-year-old right now. You can copy and paste those in. You don't have to have it on a Word document, but you can. Either way is fine with me on the discussion board assignment. Then the second assignment that turned in this week, this is where we do have 4 assignments, is the writing to analyze assignment. And this is for the assignment Dropbox only. You're not going to put this in the discussion board unless you wish to. You could add it if you think it would help other students, or if you want to ask somebody a question about it. That's fine, but it's not necessary. And what this piece is a walkthrough analysis of what to look for while you're reading. So what you may want to do is keep this open. If you're a multitasker, you may want to keep this open as you're reading, or at least read through the questions beforehand so that you know what you're looking for and what to pre-write. I added this step because of the type of essay the literary essay is. A literary essay is not a summary. There may be a brief summary involved, but it's not a summary. Okay? And before I go into the actual writing of the essay, let's back up and kind of put a pacing on this. So let's say the skimming and the reading, if you're doing that just in isolation, it might be good to knock off the reading all today, and then move into the discussion board. In the writing to analyze worksheet might go along well with each other. You could borrow ideas from the writing to analyze worksheet to put onto your discussion board. So that might be a good Tuesday, Wednesday project. By Thursday, end of the day, it'd be great if you could be ready to post something to write. As early as Wednesday is nice. I know some of you do traveling on the weekends and it's hard to get to a computer to do any editing or further writing. You're going to notice others who are on the same schedule as you, and they may become your best friends in this class. Then the peer editing, so the peer editing sometime maybe Thursday evening, and then the final draft Friday. Now I'm doing that on purpose to keep your weekends clear. If you have to get your work done on the weekend because your weeks are so just slammed with other things, You could spread it out to Monday, Tuesday reading, Wednesday, Thursday discussion board analyzing, peer edit by Friday so that other people who are not on a weekend schedule can respond, and then polish it off on the weekend with your final draft. That's just some suggestions for pacing. Okay, and that also kind of breaks it up into kind of even time chunks. I think that the reading will take about the same amount of time as the discussion board and the writing to analyze assignments will, and I think your peer editing and drafting will take probably the most time, with your final draft being back to the same amount of time as your reading would take, perhaps, depending on how good your final draft or peer edit was. Your pre-draft, your rough draft. There we go. Can't find my words this morning. Okay, so back to the literary essay, what it is and what it isn't. First of all, it's not going to be a summary response like the last essay. It's very distinctive. Do look through that Hirschberg text to see what it is. What I am looking for is an analytical response. I've had some students say, such and such author does a great job of, this isn't really American Idol for authorship. You're not really telling us, in a literary essay, you're not really telling us what the author is good at. You may use the word what they're effective at, because it's all going to revolve around a point that you're making about literature. You may want to pull out some of your old literature terms, things like characterization or suspense, timing and pacing of the story. Those things might actually be more the types of things you're discussing. And it, of course, is going to be driven by a central thesis argument. The thesis would likely have your author's last name in it, or maybe even first and last, and the title, because the whole focus of your thesis, the whole focus of your paper, is on the literature piece itself. The other significant thing in this is that you want to let the author have a voice. So you need to be distinct in when you're talking in terms of the author. In other words, the author seems to be purposing this versus what I'm saying about the author. There's different pieces of literature. Depending what you choose, you're going to have different angles. I've had some students say, well, can I choose more than one? I don't think I can get 3 to 4 pages out of one. This is where you dig really deep. For example, the Frost, page 800 poem is the one you've all read before, about 2 roads diverging in a yellow wood, okay? But have you really thought about why it was a yellow wood, and that it's not a yellow wood all through the poem? Could that possibly indicate time? And is the author really saying that it's best to take a road that nobody travels, or is he really saying that something else? So don't just go with what you assume on your first read, but dig deep. I'm not looking for a right or wrong answer. I'm looking for a response to the literature that is well supported by the text. So you are going to be doing quite a bit of quoting and or quite a bit of drawing out words and phrases from the author. We're only using one source. I don't want you to use outside sources. You're only using your brain and the actual source. So you only have to put page numbers in. For your works cited, you only have one source. Okay, so that part's easy. And another little caveat with talking about literature is you always speak in first person. So you'll say, Frost says, not Frost said, for example. So just a couple things to think about there. And if you have questions, specific questions, feel free to use the forums. Feel free to use my one of my emails, and I'll try to have a good response for you with your question. So this week we are writing a literary essay. As far as in the scheme of things, this week is pretty heavy. Next week is another boom, 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 write an essay in 1 week. And then we change the pace a little bit the following week with the July 4th week. Okay, so that's when our pace changes a bit, and July 4th week is going to be a little lighter. So if you want to kind of think ahead like that, I know that sometimes is helpful to some of you. Do take care and have a great week of writing and all those other things you do between writing.